The roar of Godzilla immediately sets the tone. If someone were to travel the world showing the silhouette of any character, one of the most recognizable figures globally would be Godzilla. This iconic silhouette is embedded in popular culture, recognizable even by those who have never seen the movies. Everyone identifies the giant dinosaur-like figure standing over a city as Godzilla. The Godzilla brand has endured for a very long time, with the first film released in 1954. This longevity has allowed its fan base to grow steadily over the years. Many people know Godzilla as a giant monster, even if they have learned little beyond that. During adolescence, some encounters with the franchise came through Friday night creature features on television, initially perceived as sci-fi. As the movie progressed, it became clear that it was Japanese, and eventually, it was recognized as Godzilla. The portrayal with miniatures and scenes of Godzilla crushing Tokyo was seen as fantastic and marvelous. Godzilla's relentless destruction, without apology, made the creature one of cinema's most iconic creations. The original 1954 black and white Godzilla film was a serious surprise, carrying profound weight beyond just a monster movie. It served as a powerful metaphor for Hiroshima. The fact that Japan made this film 9 years after the atomic bombing and introduced this metaphorical creature deeply resonated, giving the movie lasting power. Like the original, subtle and sly comments underpin the narrative without detracting from the storytelling. Post-World War II censorship in Japan meant that a direct film about Hiroshima was impossible, so filmmakers disguised it as a monster movie where Godzilla smashes the sea and leaves radiation behind. Godzilla represents a myth, an enduring part of human consciousness that symbolizes a force of nature and embodies humanity's ongoing fascination with monsters and their deeper meanings. The construct is poetic and resonates deeply with a critical period in history, which explains its enduring appeal. Godzilla has become an amazing mythological story that can constantly be revisited and remain relevant. The goal was for the new film's Godzilla to recapture the iconic essence of the original creature released by Toho Studios in 1954, feeling authentic rather than like a man in a suit. There was nervousness about this responsibility, given the legacy and the high expectations of a dedicated fan base. Each Godzilla film can explore different characters and stories, but the core identity that defines a Godzilla movie remains paramount. Balancing the immense scale of Godzilla with the human elements and emotions was a delicate challenge. The filmmakers wanted the story to feel grounded and scary, with Godzilla inspiring awe during his appearances rather than seeming silly or cheesy. The vision was to create an emotional, epic cinematic blockbuster that would stand the test of time, aiming not just to surpass previous Godzilla films, but to be the best movie overall. The director's approach to depicting Godzilla and destruction in a believable, achievable way was cutting edge. Godzilla was designed with nature in mind, resulting in a very cool, detailed design textured like dark lava, with fine details and irregularities. Concept art from various sources quickly honed in on a design that looked strong from every angle, as Godzilla would often appear in silhouette. Hundreds of tweaking sessions with 3D models ensured no bad angles and a powerful, consistent silhouette. The team took pride in creating an authentic image with few regrets, confident that the final Godzilla would be impressive and believable. Believability was key. The directive was for Godzilla to look absolutely real, as if a 300-foot creature was crawling through San Francisco's streets. Visual effects aimed to give the monster a grounded perspective, often shooting from human viewpoints to immerse the audience more deeply. This approach allowed viewers to see giant footprints or glimpses of Godzilla as if they were witnessing the action firsthand. The filming style combined visceral, handheld, close-quarters techniques with wide shots to capture the epic scale. The director avoided putting the camera in impossible positions, preferring shots achievable by helicopters, handheld cameras, or ground crews. The intention was to take the audience on a journey, often filming through human perspectives as the monsters fought. The climactic third-act battle was designed to feel spontaneous and chaotic, like a real sporting event where camera operators might be unprepared but capture the intense action. Although cinematic rules had to be bent at times to tell the story best, the general goal was to maintain realism. Shooting on location rather than on a stage added to the authenticity, making it easier to blend CGI creatures into the real world thanks to natural light and fewer visual artifacts such as green screen spills. The blend of real environments and digital creatures required extensive rotoscoping work in post-production to maintain seamless integration. During filming, actors and crews faced the challenge of imagining enormous creatures, sometimes representing them by using pieces of buildings or landmarks as markers and relying heavily on previs and storyboards to guide geography and scale. The experience was an imaginative challenge, but necessary to convey the enormity and danger of Godzilla and his nemesis. The visual effects team aimed to produce the highest quality imagery, employing thousands of talented artists and cutting-edge technology without making the effects feel heavy-handed. The goal was an invisible technique that felt natural and vivid. The attention to detail extended to lighting, with subtle, moody tones and multiple light sources to make the creatures look authentic rather than artificially highlighted. Achieving the perfect shot was difficult. Real-life camera work is often chaotic, so the team worked to balance perfection with realism, resisting the urge to over-embellish, even when tempted to add extra effects like animated birds or perfectly timed roars. The process demanded hard work around the clock from many skilled people, culminating in scenes that audiences would find immersive and emotionally engaging. The human drama was intentionally placed front and center, intensified by the looming presence of massive monsters, creating a potent mix of excitement and emotion. Stylistically, the director used suspense and restraint, revealing the creatures only in part at a time to build tension. The much-anticipated creature-on-creature action in the climax was crafted to be a powerful payoff. When Godzilla was finally revealed in all his glory, the reveal was carefully built over several minutes, employing a sequence of visual cues, tsunamis, lighting changes, and explosions to tease the audience gradually. This careful build-up culminated in a proper, satisfying full reveal, followed by a clever moment where Godzilla disappears from view, intensifying the mystique. Visual effects tests revealed astounding photorealistic images early on, surprising everyone and confirming the film's high quality. Watching the shots took the team back to the excitement that inspired the project, as sequences gradually grew stronger and more convincing than initially expected. The creatures' lighting and interaction with their environments were meticulously refined to appear natural and dynamic, enhancing the sense of reality. Fine-tuning this lighting was nerve-wracking but crucial to avoid implausible highlights while maintaining dramatic, mood-filled compositions. The entire undertaking was a massive effort involving complex visual effects pipelines, location-based shooting, detailed rotoscoping, and precision. This blend of cutting-edge technology and practical filming techniques aimed to create an unforgettable, believable Godzilla movie grounded in human perspectives and emotions, while delivering the awe-inspiring spectacle fans expect. The production emphasized that a Godzilla movie could not be complete without impressive destruction scenes. Many visuals and artworks drew inspiration from recent natural disasters such as tsunamis, earthquakes, and collapsed buildings. While the idea of a giant creature smashing through a city remains fictional, the effects of natural disasters are very real and relatable to audiences. The sensation of aftershocks during earthquakes, for example, evokes a natural pause and emotional response from viewers. The director, Gareth, insisted on making the scenes look absolutely real, aiming to make audiences believe a giant creature was truly roaming the streets of San Francisco. Recent real-world disasters provided images that, although surreal, appeared believable and helped inform the film's depiction of destruction. The storytelling approach favors on-location shooting whenever possible, rather than relying on studio sets or green screens. Though some digital elements were necessary, the crew sought key scenic frames with appropriate lighting and destruction levels to guide the art department in their creation. Many sets were designed to match locations around the world, such as interior sets for Japan built on different sites, and an old paper mill repurposed into a nuclear power plant exterior. The goal was to keep the film moving, constantly introducing new environments and avoiding prolonged scenes in one place, resulting in nearly 100 different sets. The production included large exterior environments, but some exotic locations, like jungles and deserts, were impossible to replicate on set, so shooting was done in places like Hawaii for authenticity. Using minimal green screen and relying heavily on real locations and practical set builds, the team executed detailed destruction sequences. They carefully balanced safety with realism, using materials such as hollow or polystyrene rubble that appeared substantial but were safe for actors. On the Chinatown set, everything was convincingly destroyed except for one overclean car. When the crew decided to damage the car for authenticity, they brought in heavy machinery to crush it, reinforcing a dedication to realism over convenience. The focus extended beyond breaking things to portraying the aftermath, capturing the emotional impact on those who must confront and recover from such devastation. The production's most extensive set was the MUTO nest on stage, which was repurposed into a ribcage set, both massive and organic in design, with enormous Godzilla bones. The set evoked an underground space beneath Chinatown, resembling a garbage tomb filled with crushed furniture, concrete walls, and architectural details inspired by Chinese design. These elements were integrated to appear as if they had fallen into a massive sinkhole. Another notable destroyed set was the river delta, littered with blown-up cars, destroyed trees, and railway debris, vividly conveying the scene of a bomb explosion. This set was so realistic and detailed that it inspired crew members to take pictures to capture the visuals. The film approached destruction with a subtle, thematic layer. Nature's cataclysmic forces cannot be fully controlled. Just as one cannot tame a tornado, shelters provide refuge until it is safe to emerge and confront or mitigate the resulting chaos. This narrative approach framed various plot points involving the clash of catastrophic forces and timely heroic actions. Throughout production, the team repeatedly marveled at how closely the real sets matched the concept art created months earlier. Walking onto a set felt like stepping inside the artwork itself, a testament to the dedication and skill of the art department and fabrication crews who executed the vision with remarkable accuracy. The scene begins with a briefing indicating that a team is being deployed via halo jump to deactivate a nuclear warhead, emphasizing that such sequences can easily become cheesy if not handled correctly. The narrator notes that not everyone has had direct experience with atomic ordnance, highlighting the gravity of the moment where the fate of humanity seems to hang in the balance. Confidence is expressed in the team's abilities, assuring them that their success is guaranteed because of the faith placed in them. Before the project officially hired Gareth, resources were provided to him to create Previs and other materials. During a tough day in Vancouver, Gareth was overwhelmed and had to disclaim familiarity with a DVD Previs based on his own conceptual art, which he was seeing for the first time. The scene called for a low-altitude jump, constrained by EMP pulses that would shut down electrical systems, grounding technological resources and Gareth's practical approach. Grounding was a recurring theme that emphasized Gareth's realistic perspective. For the initial shots, simple assets were used, and a characteristic red smoke was a consistent element from early mood pieces and artwork. To get the shot right, fundamental special forces were employed, jumping from a C-17 aircraft performing a military freefall. The process was straightforward. The aerial photographer, essentially jumping with the team, captured all the needed footage, which was visually compelling. Once the footage was secured, the team worked to add an ominous tone, aiming to evoke a sense of descent from a beautiful limb of earth into hell, symbolizing angels descending into chaos. There was a desire to imbue the sequence with deeper meaning, including a prayer read at the beginning, to create a sense of power, a timeless quality, and an anthem-like feeling. The scene opens with images of men running, followed by a shot of the team members exiting the aircraft. The C-17 used in Previs was wide, allowing multiple jumpers in a single jump, but in reality, a smaller C-130 was used, limiting the visual impact. To compensate, the scene was shot with green screen mats for the jumpers, allowing them to be replaced with CGI later. The jumpers, initially filmed running out of the plane and onto the mats, were eventually entirely rendered as CG characters to blend more seamlessly into the scene. Sound design was approached as an abstract art, with unrelated sounds creatively integrated into the scene. Examples included using audio of buffeting wind recorded from a car window to mimic the noise of jumping out of the jet, adding authenticity through imaginative sound choices. Inspiration struck when the sound designer was listening to music near a hotel, and a track from 2001, A Space Odyssey by Ligeti, randomly played, sparking a powerful concept for the sequence. The team spent hours refining this idea, ultimately capturing the shot exactly as envisioned. This sequence became a significant moment for the production team, symbolizing how resource constraints often lead to unique creative choices. The decision to limit technological resources fostered innovative solutions, turning what might have been a straightforward scene into a memorable and iconic moment in the film. The scene's impact even exceeded expectations, becoming one of the film's most memorable shots, derived from creative limitations that pushed the team to think differently. Thomas established only a few key stipulations for the creatures, one being that Godzilla had to fight something. The adversaries needed to be multiple creatures working together, forming an ancient ecosystem and relationship with Godzilla. The design of these creatures was intended to be different from previous depictions. The creative team examined all the monsters from earlier Godzilla movies, aiming to craft a serious, realistic version that combined elements into a single entity. They sought to invent something new for the audience, introducing the MUTOs, massive, unidentified terrestrial organisms conceptualized as the monsters' UFOs. Fans of the older Japanese creatures would recognize familiar elements in these new designs. Designing the MUTOs presented a challenge opposite to that of designing Godzilla. While Godzilla's design was constrained by its iconic requirements, the MUTOs offered creative freedom that was somewhat daunting. Their forms differed dramatically from Godzilla's. The design tapped into something primal in human DNA, evoking reactions to natural animals. Creator Gareth worked for months to perfect their look, resulting in creatures with a type that had likely never been seen before. The process of designing a creature was likened to evolutionary mutation starting from a baseline, experimenting with changes, and adopting superior traits as the new baseline. Inspiration came from diverse sources, including mosquitoes, insects, birds, and eventually planes, such as the angular shapes and flat panels of stealth bombers. This subtle influence felt appropriate, especially since the creatures delivered nuclear warheads. The goal was to express the creature's massiveness, creating a sense of overwhelming presence, like a massive wall confronting the viewer. The presence of two creatures led to speculation that they might represent male and female counterparts, implying reproduction and further chilling implications. The MUTOs evolved as parasites of Godzilla's species, requiring radioactive carcasses to lay their eggs, thus continuing their life cycle. In today's world, without radioactive carcasses, these creatures are attracted to sources of radiation, such as nuclear power stations and missiles. One was placed in Japan, the other in America, raising questions about how they would communicate across vast distances. Their communication was envisioned as long-distance pulsing or echolocation, resembling an electromagnetic pulse rather than a mechanical malfunction. Visual representations of their audio waveforms were used creatively. Audio design was crafted to ensure the MUTO's sounds remained distinct from Godzilla's, giving each creature its own personality. Stuttery vocals and chatters were integrated to convey a sense of communication, as well as battle growls that felt fierce yet connected to other thematic sounds. The idea that the first sign of a MUTO's arrival would be a sudden power outage followed by a distant roar added a captivating atmospheric element. To create the ultimate adversaries for Godzilla, many borrowed aspects were incorporated. In a one-on-one fight, it was assumed Godzilla would win. However, the two MUTOs, not always playing fairly as a team, promised a brutal cage match-style confrontation. When together, these massive creatures, each about 400 feet long, were terrifying and reminiscent of nightmarish beings. The scale of the MUTOs made humans seem insignificant, like ants. These massive beings were largely unaware of humans unless provoked by actions such as gunfire or rocket attacks, which only annoyed them. The relationship mirrored that of fleas on a dog, the dog unaware or indifferent to their existence, much like how Godzilla or these creatures perceive humans. This story was framed as nature's revenge on humanity for mistreating the world. A twist emerged in the narrative, portraying Godzilla more as a hero than a villain. By destroying the MUTOs and simply retreating to the water, Godzilla ultimately saved the world.